So here's the deal, my friend. I create free content every single week to help business owners just like you build your income impact and more breathing room in your life. But my engaged followers, they want more. They want more personalized help from me. And I get it. The truth is, I can only coach a few high level entrepreneurs over in my Fuel Mastermind at a time. And there is a much higher charge for that access. So the question remains, how can I help more people without sacrificing quality? Well, it's simple. I have trained an AI version of myself to do exactly that. So, Melanie 24/7 gives you more than advice. You'll get actionable tested strategies based on what's already worked for me personally over and over again. If this sounds like the perfect solution for you, I'm going to put a link here in the show notes. You can also just hop over to creativesonfirepodcast.com/spark. Well, hey, my friend, welcome to Creatives on Fire, the go-to podcast for content creators looking to grow their audience as well as their income. I'm so excited you're here. I'm your host, Melanie Ferguson. Well, hey, my friend, welcome back to the podcast. This week, I am so excited, like literally, what do they say? Over the moon excited to have Miss Danielle Stringer back. She is my dear sweet friend, the owner and author of Imperfect Dust. She also has a lot of knowledge in the business sector, and she has a mastermind, and now she's written this book we're going to talk about. I am so excited. Danielle, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Melanie. Thank you for having me back.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I know everybody says that, but I genuinely am because I have gotten the privilege of getting to know Danielle a little bit better over the last several months. And I'm excited to share her with you and share her journey and story with you. So, Danielle, do you just want to kind of take us on the, Cliff Notes version of your story?
Sure. So I started my business Imperfect Dust, which is a creative hand lettering business back in 2014. And I have since grown it from just a small local booth all the way to the shelves of big retail like Hobby Lobby and Kirkland's. And now I love to teach other creatives how they can take their skill that they've had, like their handmade skills, and scale them past just what their hands can make. Because one thing that's happened on my journey is going from selling one sign, hand lettered sign, to one person, to now teaching with digital assets that can be scaled to the moon, like you said.
I love it. I love it. And along that journey that you've taken, because that was a really short version.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to hit this really fast for you.
You have learned a ton of things and had some really unique experiences that have all kind of been what has created this book. So I know you guys, this isn't necessarily video, but she wrote this new book called, I have it in my hot little hands. She was so sweet to send it. The Maker's Guide to Multiplying. So Danielle, tell us the story behind this book and give us a little snippet about what we'll find inside.
Okay, well, the name of The Maker's Guide to Multiplying is because each chapter is going to have you multiplying something. So we start out with multiplying your reach, and it goes into serving your audience online, whether that be like multiplying your connection with them. And I just talk about how to go deeper with your audience and get basically just a fan base of people who love what you do and that you've connected with authentically and you can grow with. And then we talk about scaling. So that's like if you're starting out, you want to you get your audience connection down, and then you can scale, and you scale with systems and getting things to where you're moving from a one-to-one model to a one-to-many. So you're selling, instead of one-on-one, you're selling one thing to multiple people. And then the last section is sustaining, and it's going more into those systems of how you automate and delegate and really scale and go from being a maker to a CEO of your business.
I love that. I love that. And one of the quotes that really shifted my mindset personally, and I just glommed onto, was right in the first, it was just right off the bat. It hit me right between the eyes. First chapter, first page, it says, when you show up consistently, people start to trust you even before they've ever spoken to you. So I think that a lot of us as creatives struggle with the consistency aspect of our business and showing up day in and day out. But knowing that that is something that can create that trust and that immediate know, like, and trust factor is huge. And it says the more people see and engage with you, the more they feel like they know you. And when they trust you, they're far more likely to buy from you. And I think the way that this book that you wrote it is just beautiful and genius. You start out with the mindset and the growing of the audience because that has to come first. I also love the faith aspect that you've weaved throughout this book. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Imperfect Dust has always been a faith-based business. I hand lettered scriptures in the beginning and still do mostly faith-based lettering. And what I have found is that the Bible is full of business principles. It is, easily applied. The things that we do in our everyday life from the Bible can also be applied in business. And it gives us so much insight. And so that is sprinkled throughout because it's been a huge part of growing my own business.
And so, as far as your particular story goes, you kind of sprinkle in not only just the technical aspects that just about anybody can use and apply in their business today, but you've shared your personal journey with the same exact strategies. So, I'm loving here where you talked about in the scaling part how you took your knowledge and turned it into online classes and designs and digital files, and it opened up entirely new revenue streams for you. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what's interesting about that is, especially since you asked about the faith aspect, I have to be honest and admit, and I talk about this in the book, that for a long time, I would not make that shift because I fought it. I said, if I start sharing exactly how I do what I do, then nobody will buy from me. It will be, kind of like sharing all my secrets. But what I have found is that the more I shared, the more I served and solved the problem of the customer, because that's huge. When you start listening to your customer and you start answering what they're asking, that's when you have the ability to scale because you're solving their problems and then you get even more connected with them. But when I finally made that, like, okay, I yield to it, I will just start teaching what I know, that's when things truly started to multiply. And so that's in the scaling section of the book where I'm like, look, you have these mindset shifts that if you will just turn that corner, you have no idea what God has in store. If you'll just, give it up to him and let him take over.
Yep. I'm looking right here. I highlighted like half the whole book. That right there. One of the things I highlighted, which I do struggle with, I'm certain a lot of listeners do too, is abundance mindset and choosing to believe that
Mm.
there's more than enough creativity, enough success, enough room for everyone. And you put here, it's a choice to trust that God's blessings are not limited and neither are his plans for you. I love that your story includes kind of that opening up of your creative knowledge and sharing it with your audience and how that just exploded for you. So tell me a little bit about from when you were just making one sign at a time to how opening up that opportunity to share with others has grown to today.
I was sitting there having to make every single sign by hand. And what I realized was this is going to lead to burnout. There's no way I can keep this up and it be sustainable or scalable. And so when I started to shift my mindset, the first way I did it was just having an in person hand lettering class where I had 15 ladies in a room, but you sell one class to 15 women. And that's when I started to see multiplication. I'm like, wow, instead of selling one sign for $50, I'm selling this $50 class to 15 women in one room. And then your mindset goes, well, what if I did this even more and multiplied again? And so that's when I recorded my first hand lettering class and started seeing lots of traction where people online were purchasing. And then that is where you really start listening to your customer. And so the people who would take the class then had another problem. They were struggling with hand lettered layouts. And so I thought, well, I can provide templates as a subscription base. So then that led to a recurring revenue stream of, I call it Digital Dust. It's just a little spinoff of Imperfect Dust. And they get a library full of hand lettered templates to use with their projects. And so every time you kind of have those mindset shifts, you are able to see things that maybe you wouldn't have seen before. Like I would have never dreamed I'd have a hand lettered template library But I had to first teach the hand lettering to listen to the customer to say, okay, what is it that they need now? And then you have another product. And so if you're constantly connecting with your customer, then the sky's the limit. I mean, you just keep multiplying.
I love it. So let me ask you this quick little nuanced question. How were you listening to the people? Were you going live? How were you getting this feedback?
Great question. Yes, I was going live and I would ask questions in post. And when you ask specific, like, especially even though it's just text, I would do, the big Facebook text. It's like you can make it look like a picture. Those get great responses. So I would ask their opinion, like, hey, what do you think my next lettering book should be about? What do you struggle with the most? And I mean, everyone, lettering layouts, lettering layouts. But yes, I was going live on Facebook every week as well.
So it's kind of a combination of things to kind of get to the end of the process, which is your solution for their problem. And I love that you had your ear to the ground and you started with the audience and building up that trust just by showing up every single week. You created this library, you were able to scale it. Then I know that you kind of tackled one of the biggest, scariest things, and I kind of want to touch on it a little bit.
Okay, so let's see. I had kind of gotten to a point where my audience, even though it was large on Facebook and Instagram, they all had heard what digital dust was, and like you said, it's like I knew I needed to get out there more and have more people here because when you increase your traffic and your leads, ultimately everything will increase. And so ads is a great way to do that. And it's scary at first, but once you start doing it, it will get easier and easier, just like anything else. And so I recognized that although organic had done great for me, ads could be a way to really get where I wanted to go. And back in the fall, I ran my first, I called it a scripture lettering workshop. And from there, people can come in. I can hopefully get them a result and using a digital dust template. And then I say, okay, how about now you use the whole library? And then you roll them into your subscription. And from the fall to now, I have seen astronomical growth, going from about 350 subscribers over 1,200 now in my monthly digital subscription. And that is where I just am sold on the power of ads, running workshops, getting people a result first, and showing them that you can help them. If you want to sell someone something, just help them. And then they'll see what you can do for them. And it's an easy ask. It's like, okay, if you enjoyed that, you will love the digital dust subscription. And so it feels very easy. And anyone, if you are bringing them in from ads, you can really grow your audience that way by helping them and then making that ask.
I love that. I love what it's done for your business. And that is kind of like the whole theme of your entire book is multiplying. And just every step that you've taken in this journey has multiplied, some more than others. But look at where you are.
Well, thanks. Yes. And sometimes people say you can't outgive God, and they're talking about money and giving offerings and tithes. But I think it's in every aspect. Like I said earlier, if you give your knowledge, He's going to give you more. You just keep giving, 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 and it always seems to work out. So that's my encouragement to anyone is just see what ways God can use you. And I think you'll be surprised.
Yes. And I know that in the book, it talks about not just multiplying your income, but multiplying your mindset and your time. So
Yes.
how has this worked towards your time freedom?
Oh, goodness. Well, getting very clear on one thing, like I went all in on my digital subscription. And that saves me a lot of time because I'm not chasing all these different revenue streams. And I had and still do have multiple revenue streams. And I was trying to do a lot in all of them. And then when I started really asking myself, what is going to be the thing that can change my family's life? And it was the digital subscription. And I said, okay, it's not that I'm going to get rid of everything else, but I'm going to go all in on really focusing, growing this one thing. And it saved me a ton of time. It's made me more focused. and more efficient in my marketing aspects and everything. So not only that, but also delegating. I mentioned that earlier, and hiring help where you think sometimes, well, I can't afford to hire help, but then you realize, oh, that help's actually going to help me make more. So it makes sense. So that's a mindset shift, though, that you have to make from that scarcity to abundance.
Definitely. Okay, so I think I don't know about you, but I just think that all of this, like I've never liked math, but this kind of multiplying, I could wrap my head around. I can really get behind it. So, we talked about the mindset and the time freedom. What about in the book you talked about multiplying our knowledge? What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I believe growing your knowledge and your network are huge in business. And it is very easy to want to sit on an island alone and try to figure everything out by yourself. But when you recognize that there is someone out there who has done exactly what you want to do and you can learn from them, everything changes because it's your shortcut. It is a way to speed up time and get the results that you want to get, but so much faster. And your network. Um, just surrounding myself with other women that have the same ambitious goals and then kind of just brainstorming with them, you get so much farther with one another and like having the camaraderie of, almost like I have a friend that we have a friendly competition with one another. It's like, hey, I posted a reel and it's doing really good. See if you can post one today and get the same results. And we like will mimic each other and just have fun with it. And it's like iron sharpens iron, and we go one after the other and just have so much fun with it. And I really think your knowledge and your network are two things that you should always be working on in business.
I agree. It's huge. Most of us wouldn't be where we are today without the ones we surround ourselves with. They say you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So sit around and think about that. And I know some of them you can't avoid, like spouses and kids, but like then the other people that's why there's 5. You can
Mhm.
actually choose your friends, which is great. All right, so impact. You end the book with talking about multiplying your impact. And I know that's kind of a word that people maybe don't really spend a lot of time on thinking about. But when I hear other people talking about impact, I think, oh, these people on stage and people doing big things. But I know that the truth is that if you want to make big changes, you should start at home. So, what does that mean, multiplying your impact?
Oh, I want my boys, I have 3 boys, and I want them to grow up and see that they can do anything. Like, there is no limit. I think every kid their age these days wants to be a YouTuber, and it's so funny because they have a mom that's like, Okay, you can do that," you know? But multiplying your impact to me is where you allow yourself to be used by God in an ordinary, sometimes ordinary way. Like it doesn't have to be, I tell my kids, I'm like, you don't have to go be a missionary or be what other people consider radical. You can live an ordinary life to the glory of God and have amazing impact. And so I just want to be an example of that for my kids. I want them to say, man, mama did it. And then I know my husband, he's a great example too. And so that's my multiplying your impact
I love
take
that.
is
And in
just
fact, in the book, I don't know if you remember this part, but over here on page 38, you specifically stated, don't hold back, show up, share your journey, and trust that he will use it to make an impact you can't even begin to imagine. I love
yes.
that. That is a great, great quote. So, this book Danielle has written, I'm sure she's super modest, but it is a definite, people over and abuse this word, but it is a game changer. It is a mindset changer. It is a life changer. And if you don't already have your hands on it, I'm going to put a link in the show notes below for you guys to grab a copy. She's actually going to be doing really fun challenge to kind of bounce off of this book. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, this challenge is called Scale Your Skill, and it's for those who have already built something that's beautiful, but they are stuck and they want to do what this book says. They want to multiply what is already there. And it kicks off May 6th. It's a 3-day challenge where we will be live together on Zoom, and I will be teaching and taking questions. It'll be a whole lot of fun. So you're
Awesome.
invited.
Yay, did you hear that? Did you hear that? You're invited. I'll put the link for your invitation in the show notes as well. But Danielle, thank you so much for coming back and just spreading your wisdom, sharing all of your knowledge with us. It is just never ending, you guys. If you ever want to get uplifted, just go tune in. What is it? Learn with Danielle. Is that your Instagram? I love that.
Yes,
Put
learn
that
with it.
too. Where else can they find you online?
Imperfect Dust is the creative side. So on Facebook and Instagram as Imperfect Dust. And then Learn with Danielle is where they will get the business coaching.
Love it. Danielle, thank you.
Thank you.